funny how the story goes. Little hope but bigger dreams. They try to bring the sucker down, singing louder than the crowd. Listen the rhythm, I'm feeling brand new. Keep pushing forward, it's gonna save you. Never look down, love, not when we shine so bright. The sun is getting warmer, but when we're floating up like helium.
Alright, 10 internet points if you can guess where I am today. Regular viewers of this channel will know that's not going to help. This is better. Regular viewers of this channel will know that I travel to and from between Melbourne and Sydney quite a lot for work, and when you travel quite a lot with one airline, after a while, if you remember if their frequent flyer scheme, you'll start to go up in their frequent flyer status tiers. Now, I've talked about status credits before on this channel. I'll link to the video before if you haven't seen that one. There's a very important warning actually on status credits which I covered in a previous video, so make sure you watch that one first. But because I have been traveling with Qantas and their partner airlines through One World quite a lot over the last 18 months, a couple of weeks ago this happened. What are you doing in there? Okay, off to Sydney. Here we go. So let's start quickly. How do you get to that platinum level with Qantas? Well, if you're not retaining platinum, so if you're at a different tier and you're trying to move your way up, to get to platinum you need to earn 1,400 status credits in that previous year. So let's do some quick maths. If you're flying between Sydney and Melbourne, like we're going to do today, you earn 10 status credits for that trip between Sydney and Melbourne. As we said, to get to platinum you need 1,400 status credits. So if you want to earn platinum level just by doing simple basic economy domestic flights, you've got to fly between Sydney and Melbourne 140 times in the year. Now obviously that's not achievable, but I'm going to give you some tips a bit later in this video on how you can more easily earn status credits, when to fly and who to fly with, but I'll get into that a bit later in this video. In the meantime, in order for me to show you the benefits, we actually need to be at the airport. So, well, let's go to the airport. Just off to the airport, please. I need to get out of the way. Hey, look who I found. Look who I found in Sydney. Sorry, I'm in your shot. Hey, so now we're at the airport. The other advantages you get then of being platinum start here when you're at the airport. For example, with your baggage, as a platinum frequent flyer, you get to take 50 kilograms of baggage on your flight as opposed to the 30 kilograms that you would be able to take if you were a bronze frequent flyer or if you weren't a member of the frequent flyer scheme at all. You also get something called priority baggage, which means that whichever class of flight you're flying on, your bags will still get checked through as a business or first class passenger, which means that they should come out the other end quicker than everyone else's, which I can't actually test today because we don't have any bags. We don't have any bags with us here in Sydney. Then of course the other benefit when you're at the airport is if you're a gold frequent flyer with Qantas, you get access to the Qantas Club lounges. You don't need to pay for separate membership for those. It's normally around $600–700 a year otherwise, but if you're a platinum frequent flyer, you actually get to go into the business class or first class lounges depending on what they have at the airport. Then of course the final advantage is you can go through the special express queues that they have for security, so you don't need to queue up in the long lines. There's a dedicated line for platinum and gold frequent flyers?
Yes.
Yeah, gold. So gold and above you can go through the express queues into security, which is what we're going to do now.
really nice. I think it's very big and a lot more spacious, much bigger than Melbourne, the business lounge. View not as good as Melbourne, because Melbourne's got a really nice view on that corner over, you can see into the international. But really nice and big, very modern design. If you want to work, if you want a quiet area, if you want a view, if you want by the TVs. A nice selection of food, drinks. It's similar to the Qantas Club, but just more private, a bit quieter.
On the way back home, but on planes like the 737, when you're flying Platinum or as a Gold Frequent Flyer, you can actually get a preference of where you sit, and it opens up a lot more inventory on the plane for you. So on the 737, for example, when you're Gold and above, you can often choose to sit at the front of the plane. Also, you have something called priority upgrade. So if you do put in an upgrades request, like a points request to upgrade from, say, economy to business, what they'll do is they'll look at the status of frequent flyer and work their way from the top down. So if there's only a limited number of upgrade seats available, the higher your tier of status, the more likely you are to get that upgrade anyway. Always reading. So how do you get those status credits, and what are some of those tips? Well, of course, as we saw before, you're not going to do 150, 140 flights between Melbourne and Sydney. There are a few key things that I look out for here, right? So the first one is, and this happens pretty much about once every year, so you've really got to look out for it, and that's when Qantas do their double status credits offering. You tend to get about 4 or 5 days to book flights for the double status credits offering, but you can book the flights anything up to about a year in advance. So if you know you're going to be doing some travelling, and if you see a double status credits offer come out, that really is the best time that you can book. Then if you need like a quick hit, a quick injection of status credits, sometimes what I do is what we call a status credits run, which is look for a sale fare which you know is going to get you good status credits and just almost fly for the sake of it. A good one here in Australia is if you get a flexible economy fare between the East Coast and West Coast, so say Melbourne to Perth or Brisbane to Perth, you can get 30 status credits each way for an economy fare, and if there's a sale fare on at the time, so you're not actually paying that much cash for it, in return you can get 60 status credits just for that one flight. The other thing is partner airlines. So even though right now we're flying on Qantas and earning status credits and frequent flyer miles with Qantas, the other trick you can use is look at the partner airlines in the alliance. So One World Alliance for Qantas, for example. So you can still earn status credits that come back into, in our case, into your Qantas frequent flyer account. Now the same principle goes here. You want to look for sale fares wherever you can. So go on your sites like Skyscanner, Kayak, Last Minute, and also the actual airline sites themselves. Sign up for their newsletters and get their alerts when they've got sale fares coming out. And if you combine all of that and try and fly with those partner airlines, it's actually a really good way to earn status credits quite quickly, and you get to experience other carriers at the same time. So is it worth all the time, the effort, the cost that you have to go through in order to get that platinum status? One thing I should say is today I have been focusing on domestic travel as a platinum frequent flyer. Of course, with international travel, I think the benefits are probably a lot larger, because not only are you traveling longer distances, so you're going to get more frequent flyer miles, but also you're going to get access to those international first and business class lounges in the international terminals, which are obviously going to be a lot different to the ones you get in domestic. Should also mention that this video is really, it's not aimed at everybody, but it's really for you guys out there, and if you've made it this long, you kind of know who you are. You're in that kind of middle tier of frequent flyers, and you're wondering what it's like to get up to that kind of top or second top level. Is it worth doing it? I only think it's worth spending the time and money to get up to a tier like Platinum if you're going to fly a lot in the year after you attain that status. And what I mean is there's no point getting to that tier, getting the bag tags, getting the nice card, and then not doing any flying, because you're really not going to maximize all the time and money and effort you put into getting to that tier in the first place. Reason why I do it is because travel's my thing. I love to go to airports, I love to see new places, I really enjoy looking around the lounges and getting all that kind of access to areas that I might not otherwise have done. So for me, I invest my time and money into travel because that's what I like to do. Now with the international side of travel that I mentioned, I've actually got a couple of trips coming up in the next few months, which of course I'm going to bring you guys along on as well, and we'll take a good look at some of those international business and first class lounges that I'll film here on the channel, and also I'll put a link below to my website where I blog about them as well and give you a lot more photos and a bit more of an in-depth look at what goes on in those lounges. But if your objectives are different, if you're looking at buying a house, having kids, you've got big investments coming up, whatever it is, unless you know that you're going to be traveling a lot after you attain that status, I would question whether it's actually worth the time and effort you need to put in to get to that in the first place. I personally think for the lounge access, the extra baggage, the priority upgrades, double the frequent flyer points that you would get otherwise, for me, because I travel a lot, yeah, it's absolutely worth it. But for you guys, you just need to make a decision based on your own situation. All right, I'm going to leave it there. Stick around, because coming up later this week on the channel, aborted takeoff in the Cirrus SR22. I had a bit of an interesting situation last time I flew down to Turin. If you haven't seen that video yet, I'll link it up here. Didn't actually put in that video an incident that happened to me on takeoff, leaving Moorabbin first time round. But more on that on the channel coming up later this week.